So, Rob, this is called the breathing intro. We're going to breathe in.
Okay, and let it go.
Hold. No, we're going to hold. Then breathe out. Okay. We're going to do it one more time. We're going to breathe in. And we're going to breathe out. Woosah. Woosah.
All right.
You forgot to say hold this time.
Oh, yeah.
Holding is
Inconsistency.
you realize that
Yeah,
holding
that's
is the key
True.
part.
That's true. Because discipline, it's not natural.
I was trying
Yeah.
to follow the breathing exercise on this app. So it was
Yeah.
like breathe in, and I was ready to let go, and then all of a sudden it's like hold, and I'm like, what? I'm not ready for that. I'm holding it. It's like, okay, now let go. I'm like, oh.
Well, I do have to say, welcome to the Contagious Thoughts podcast. And I'm joined today with
Qasim.
the one and only.
Qasim.
I didn't want you to butcher my name.
Isn't it?
Qasim. Did I butcher it?
Yeah.
Qasim?
No, you nailed it.
Qasim.
You have
Qasim.
experience though.
I do have to first introduce my co-host for today, which is, you guys have heard him before, but this is the one and only Rob, my barber, aka Mr. Flex Razor himself.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
And we're back by popular demand. As you guys know, we're actually doing a little bit of a pilot here, and you guys let us know how it goes. But, we're going to be doing a Thoughts with My Barber, series where Rob and I are going to co-host shows where we either talk amongst ourselves or we talk with an interesting and inspiring guest. And today,
Qasim. Hey.
That's natural echo.
that is Qasim.
Yes,
and so
sir.
let me just, and Qasim's going to be able to either correct anything I say or tell me I'm flat out wrong. But let me just introduce Qasim for you guys. So this guy is a entrepreneur. And when I talk to him, I get kind of like Steve Jobs kind of vibes.
Yeah.
I get like this guy is,
me too.
he's the future.
Yeah, I think
Those
so.
are the vibes that I get.
I feel it too.
Is it
You
the
know what I mean?
turtleneck?
It's honestly, that's the thing.
That's what it is.
That's the thing. It's like it's your presence. It's your aura.
Something.
It's you know
He
what I mean?
got it.
It's
I don't know
something
what it
about
is.
you.
Yeah.
Not only has he spearheading his own tech startup, but he's also deep, which we're going to get into in a little bit. I'm pretty excited for that. He's also deep in the Web3 space, which is really interesting to me, and I want to get into that as well.
Me too.
But I wanna first, like I do every episode, I want to just bring it back to the beginning. I want to understand how this all started. Like, what was your first business? What was kind of your start as a business owner, entrepreneur? How did this all get started?
I think it has to go back to my dad's gas station. I was
Wow.
probably 9, not legally allowed to work.
Here?
Here, Virginia.
Wait a minute. So the gas station was in Virginia,
Yeah.
but
And
your dad.
he was there.
Wait. Now you got to go back some more.
Way
you gotta
back?
go back. You got to know why?
take it
'Cause
back.
You're interesting. Was your dad pumping gas in
Yeah.
your country?
No.
Yeah,
So
you gotta go to your ethnic so
He-
they'll know who you are.
Yeah, no, fair.
All right.
Context is important. So I think like most immigrants, people have great jobs back home. And
Yeah.
when I mean great, I mean like relatively speaking.
Yeah.
So my dad was a general manager for one of the largest candy manufacturing
Wow.
factories
And
at
come
home.
here.
Oh,
And
wow.
Wow.
And he let all of that go,
Wow.
right? For him, for the American dream.
Jeez.
So I've been hearing about this American dream since I was a kid.
Of course.
Right?
It can be. Sometimes it can be blinding. Sometimes it can be true. Sometimes it can be false.
Yeah. No,
It's what you make
There
it.
you go.
I can't, I hate not quoting people. So, got to give credit where it's due. But I recently read or heard somewhere where the American dream is only a dream if you're still sleeping in America.
Oof.
But you can turn it
Wow.
into the American
Where
reality.
did you hear that at?
I can't remember, which is why I'm
Wow,
like a little
that's a
upset.
quote.
Right?
That's
so
a- that's
a
deep.
quote.
someone's got to
That's
look
deep.
that up. So it's only a dream because you're still sleeping in America.
Yeah.
It's the American reality
Uh-huh.
if you choose to wake up
Mm-hmm.
and do something about it, right? And my dad was the embodiment of turning that dream into a reality
Wow.
for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's all relative.
Mm-hmm.
Someone can look at his house and be like, that's nothing.
Yeah.
For me, I saw what he had to go through
Yeah.
to an extent. I was a kid, so they sheltered us a little bit from the harsh realities of what was actually happening, and we saw a version of that which was much more tampered down and digestible for a 10-year-old kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for me, I came in at the good part where my dad took all his life savings, invested it in a gas station and owning a gas station.
Jeez.
So
That's a big jump.
Yeah.
From
Ooh.
What was everything for us turned into just one thing, which was a gas station. Right. So I do want to say, like, for some people now, because people are much more educated, people are much more informed about, like, hey, a gas station, that's a dream come true.
Yeah,
Right?
I'll take one.
And it wasn't easy.
No.
That's
take
not
one.
easy.
No.
You're talking about getting this all together.
Right.
And
Dealing with the companies that's supplying.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
right.
not an easy task.
Nope.
That's it sounds like, oh, you went from running a major company to pumping gas. No.
Yeah.
It's far from that.
Yeah. And it's not a one person job. Like, it took
Yeah.
the entire
It's a team.
family
To
to come together. Someone's pumping gas, someone's running the register.
It looks simple.
Yeah.
It looks like I could do that. No, it really does.
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
But there's
this
a
is
lot
nothing.
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
that's the business aspect of it. There's the family dynamics aspect of it. Like, hey, there's always a family member that's not home because
Yeah.
they're running the
Right.
gas station.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's very interesting. Like, we live in a capitalistic economy or civilization where people are used to just thinking about the money aspect of it. Well, there's the human aspect of it. You got your family. You got always at a family dinner, some family members not there because they're supporting the business, and that business is supporting the family.
Yeah.
So my first entrepreneurship lesson was, I think it was 4th of July, and there were these little American flags, the ones that you put on your
The pin.
Yeah, the pin. Yeah. So when I was like, I got some, why don't you stand at the pump, and every driver that comes by, see if you can sell it to them, and whatever you make out of it, it's yours. Right? I don't want none of that. I'm like, all right, cool.
I like that.
Got
I like
something
that.
to do on the 4th of July. I'm pretty sure that was my dad's technique of babysitting us while he had to do work. So did just that and learned that you can use being a kid to your advantage.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, 4th of July,
I
come
brought
on, give
candy
me-
for kids. I didn't even need candy.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that whole box was like $1,
Yeah.
and we sold $1
Yeah.
a pin.
A kid, the power of a kid.
Yeah.
The love
So
for a kid.
I was learning a few lessons that day, and this is 15, 20 years ago. So gas used to be cheap.
$1.99.
Yeah.
I go back to 99 cents for regular.
So imagine paying $1 for a pin, right?
Same much as a gas?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So-
I think a gallon of gas. Same.
So that was my lesson. I was like, wait a second, this isn't just an upsell.
Yeah.
It's a whole different business model in my mind. I'm like, yeah, okay, you can sell pins for $1. That's like as much as someone's paying for the whole gas themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So I learned that was my first entrepreneurship experience.
Value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I really thought,
Understanding the economics of
yeah,
currency.
I didn't know what to look for, but all the answers or all the experiences were on the table, and I'm looking at it like, okay, why am I making money off of these pins, or how am I making money off of these pins? Why are people paying for it? It's 4th of July.
Yeah.
Till today, the American economy people spend like crazy when it comes to holiday season. It's great for recession and things like that. It helps bring money back into the economy. But those lessons that I learned as I can't remember my age, 9, 10, till today are like
Embedded.
Exactly. And I see them all around.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And that goes
Absolutely.
into my entrepreneurship journey throughout life.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
It goes into my hustle to explore the new territories, the Web3, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get into that one.
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there.
I was like, what? This
We'll
guy
get there,
told
bro.
me.
We'll get
Oh,
there.
wow.
Yeah,
Web3.
yeah,
What
yeah,
are you
yeah.
talking about?
Yeah,
here?
yeah. No, it's just it's more than just a number.
Yeah.
More than just a number.
Definitely want to get into that one.
So that's what's up.
So okay.
Who's
So
this
then,
guy?
what
Batman?
was your first business that you specifically started?
I started, if my memory serves me correct, like the first business that I actually considered like, hey, this is going places.
Yeah.
We take it for granted, but how you have Google Business and Yelp, which
Yeah.
is just a business registry.
Yeah.
I was in Pakistan. I was studying for dentistry. I don't think you guys know I'm a dentist or was a dentist.
Nice.
I got to talk to you.
Actually, I have a tooth.
Yeah.
me too.
No, I see his grills. I see his grills. So I was studying dentistry, and while I'm studying dentistry, I'm like, I'm not enjoying this. There's got to be more to my life than just fixing teeth. And this is no disrespect to all the dentists because it takes a heart and a soul to do what they do.
Yeah.
So while I'm studying dentistry and I'm like, I need to figure out some other outlet. I need to do something that is meaningful for me, but also makes money because I need to be able to pay the bills. If I need to have that conversation with my parents, like, hey, I'm dropping out of dental school.
Whoa.
Right?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Doesn't for
Whoa.
anyone who
Whoa.
is not watching the video,
Yeah.
I am brown skinned, which means I come from a Pakistani family. Some like to call it Desi family.
Call it what?
Desi, Desi.
Why? What?
Desi just kind of means like Pakistani, Indian, that region, like Southeast America, Asia.
Would the average person know that?
No, I hope. I don't know. I don't know. I don't take.
Have you ever heard of that?
Desi.
I don't think so.
Is that? It's not racial though, right?
It's not racial. No,
It's not.
No,
it's
no,
just
no,
open.
no.
That's
You
just
don't.
a
You do
name.
not need to cut this part out. No, no.
You gotta,
No, of
enlighten
course.
the people.
Of course. No,
a lot of people
Desi.
don't know things like that.
Yeah, no, Desi is just like, hey, you're brown and you're not Middle Eastern. So Desi is reserved for the non-Middle Eastern brown folks.
But it's nothing racial.
It's
period.
nothing racial.
Okay.
No, it's just like
I don't want to call somebody a Daisy. And they,
no.
I'll leave that word to you.
I'm telling you, it's a free term.
I trust you.
So, but it's typically used in context to describe the cultural information associated with it, right? So when I say I come from a Desi family, and trying to have a conversation that I'm not continuing dentistry, people who know what it means to be in a brown household, people would say, "Oh, you probably got your donkey whooped."
Yep.
And
there you go.
and
There you go. Bang.
So in order to make a very strong case for like, hey, I'm pursuing something that is different from what you envisioned for me or what I thought I envisioned for me at some point, I really had to make sure this thing worked, right? So I created the Yelp of Pakistan back in the day.
Wow.
That's
Right.
awesome.
That's like, wow. That's
Told you,
good.
Steve Jobs.
That's cool. Yeah, that's
I'll
good.
tell you what started it because I had a beat up car that my dad bought for me, so a little privileged. And I wanted to modify it. I wanted to make it look all street, like racy, get the mufflers on, the exhaust and whatnot. And I was struggling finding auto shops that would do that work, right? Because in Pakistan,
Pakistan,
so we're
okay.
back in Pakistan
Okay.
because it's university years.
Okay.
And I couldn't find them. So I started, as I would go auto shop by auto shop, I would ask them, will you modify my car the way I needed to? And they're like, no, we don't provide those services. I'm like, all right, scratch them off the list. 10, 15 auto shops in, I realized someone needs to have a directory for this, right? And that was the aha moment where I was like, I think I could figure this out. Like a directory isn't that hard. It's just the name and address and the services they provide, like a menu.
Right.
All right. Now I get your website.
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, hold on. We're not getting to the web. We didn't get there yet.
Oh, this
sorry.
is the
This is-
start of the
this is like,
my
yeah.
first ever business.
Yeah.
But my bad.
No, this I do for anyone who knows me and is watching, and it's probably going to be a handful of people. They know that I start businesses like no tomorrow. Meaning I'll start one by the time I walk out of this building, but will I see it through is my problem.
I see.
So, and this is exactly where
Me
we're
telling
headed.
you.
Yeah, like see it till the end, see it grow, see it flourish, right?
Stick with it.
Yeah, and
What
that
are you having, a girl or boy?
boy.
Okay. There you go.
Why?
That's going to help you. That's the other you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Valid.
Sounds
I can see the wisdom in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other you.
Definitely. So I started this Yelp of Pakistan. I called it Webertize, and I'm growing it. I'm going shop by shop. Right. So the concept was I love wordplay. So we'll get into my hip hop culture, love, and all that stuff. But
Yes.
it was all about wordplays for me since then. And my latest business is all wordplay.
Yeah.
So advertise on the web, Webertize. So that was the business that I started.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. I love
You know,
it.
it's like the name has to just do the math for you. Like, all right, I get it. I get what this is doing. So yeah, we started listing businesses 6 months in. I didn't follow through with it.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I
And-
ask you?
Yeah.
Can I ask you?
Of course.
Once you introduced it, did you introduce it to the actual companies that you was representing?
I went shop by shop, and here's how I did it because I was studying dental school.
Yeah.
I really didn't have the time to run a business.
Yeah.
So as I was going to every shop I needed to in my life,
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm going to a restaurant to explore what food options they have.
Yeah.
I literally whip out a piece of paper. I'm like, hey, do you want to register on my website?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally shop by shop.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, a website. No one uses a website to
In Pakistan?
In Pakistan for looking for businesses. But this is 12 years ago.
What's that?
2008, 2010, something like that.
2010.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. Okay.
So back then, like you don't go to the internet to find a business in Pakistan.
It's word of mouth.
You word of mouth. You drive. You like, all right, there's an
okay.
auto
Yeah.
shop.
Wow, I never been there.
Yeah, beautiful
Yeah,
place.
Have you?
Beautiful
haven't.
place.
I
Beautiful
haven't.
place.
Yeah.
A little scary, but beautiful place.
What do you mean? Beautiful and scary at the same. Well,
Scary
yeah,
because,
I've been
you
in
know,
Brooklyn. I've been to New Brooklyn.
Yeah.
If
I
you-
just came back from Chirac. Yeah.
Love it. So exactly. So, but yeah, so that's how I onboarded businesses, and it was picking up, and I started getting calls from people like,
Now-
"Hey,
Now, how are you financing this? Because I would have.
I took about $100 from my cousin to set up this
To
whole
finance-
business,
to
and that was it.
finance?
Yeah, there was.
It wasn't that
It
much.
wasn't that expensive.
Okay.
I put in the work. I built the websites. I figured out
Still
how
had to drive there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm talking like that's why I incorporated it in my life. Stuff I was doing anyways, right? So I'm going to a restaurant to
okay.
eat food with my friends. When I show up, I'm turning that into like a double-edged sword,
Yeah.
kill two birds with one stone analogy. Like I'm trying to register a business at the same time.
Yeah.
So it picked up. It picked up, and that's when I knew that if I wanted to, I can get stuff done, right?
Wow.
And it really made me open to the possibility that I don't have to pursue dentistry forever. Like I do have the drive to put together a business if I wanted to. However, I have to be very practical about it. I have to make sure that I'm not losing money. I'm making money, and that was it. That's what started it.
Wow. So we went from, I'm sure there's a lot of, you said you started the business like almost every day.
Yeah.
So figuratively speaking, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Right. But I'm sure there was a lot that happened between then and opinion.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying opinion.com. People are probably going and typing in opinion.com.
Yeah.
So
There's the wordplay.
I want
again.
you to explain the wordplay.
So I wanted to. So there's two types of content creation. There is what we're doing right now, a bunch of individuals coming together to create content. So therefore, the quantity of the content is limited by our time. I wanted to build something that allowed what's called user-generated content. So I don't have to go sit there on my computer to create that content, but rather I create a platform where other people can create content.
yeah.
And I wanted to do it in a way where I made money off of that as well as the user.
Yeah.
So, and
Interesting.
I'll tell you what started this. I work in tech, for anyone who didn't figure that part out already.
Yeah.
You have platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and they just started doing this, which is crazy because I was trying to do this 10 years ago.
Steve Jobs.
They realized what they do is you open Facebook. Rob just posted something like someone's haircut, and you open Facebook. You're like, oh, nice haircut, Rob. And then you scroll down and you see an ad. Now Facebook made all the money for that ad. Rob did not. You did not. Facebook did. And this just goes out for all the platforms that are like Facebook. I'm just using Facebook as the most
Yeah, of
Sure,
course.
yeah.
relevant
We
one.
understand.
Right. Right.
So to me, it was bananas how a platform is turning his content, his picture, his haircut into money and turning your activity with Rob, your interaction with Rob, into money and not giving you a cent.
Yep.
If they gave a cent, I would
Yeah.
not have built opinion. If they gave us a cent is like less than 1%,
Yeah.
right? Of what they're really monetizing and making money off of that. So they're monetizing the crap out of that
Yeah.
and not giving you a cent.
Yeah.
I have a problem with that. And this goes a little bit into
Me
my
too.
Yeah. This goes into Web3 as well. And I'll show you like what the drive was there.
With
Me
you.
too.
I'm
Think
with
about
you,
it.
bro. I'm
You
with
create content, and not because you want to show off into the world or anything. You're just being
I
you.
understand completely.
We're social beings.
Mm-hmm.
We like to socialize. We like to share what we do. We like to share our happiness. A platform's figured out how to monetize that, and they don't give you a cent.
Yes,
I have a
they
problem
have.
with that, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to create, the keyword being open, an open platform. Anyone can come in, share your thoughts, share your pictures, share your videos. And when someone else, it can be people that you're in touch with or connected to, or the world, comes in and views your content, I will figure out how to monetize that just like Facebook did.
Now, just explain a little bit. Because, all right, I got it a little bit. But,
I'll explain the tech.
This is a website for... This is Google for dummies.
Yeah. I'll explain the
so
tech.
they'll have a better understanding.
I'll definitely explain the tech.
Is this an app? Is this a...
Started off with a website because it's called organic traffic, meaning I don't want to have Rob push his content and be like, hey, Darwin, hey, Qasim, come check out my article so I can get paid. No.
Right.
He's creating his content just like he would on the Facebooks of the world.
Of course.
Right.
In order to make that content available to the rest of the world, it has to be on a website. Most people don't realize this. When you're choosing between an app or a website, choose a website. It's more available to the world organically, meaning someone on Google can come across your website.
Who would host it? I mean, let's say that's what it comes
I was taking
in
up the hit for that, right? I was taking
the tab.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Now, I was definitely spending money creating this because for me, it was about testing the vision.
Yes, sir.
Right? I was like,
Absolutely.
can people get behind this? And if yes, I can guarantee that this is a profitable business model.
Absolutely.
Right? But if people don't get behind it and they're like, well, we'll get into funny stories if we have the time for it. But essentially, that's what fueled it. And my key part was 50-50. I'm putting money in. I'm taking some part of that to reinvest in the infrastructure to bring more users to the platform. So whatever you and I make together, I'll take 50, you take your 50. It's more than what any other platform out there will give you today. Even today.
Yes, sir.
YouTube, Twitter, which is now called X, even they give you like 20%, 30%, 15%, right?
So,
and that too is like if you bring in millions of visitors
Yeah,
first.
you have to have a certain number.
Right.
Yes.
I just had a publisher call me about a month ago, but I don't have enough content. They told me, well, they was going to give me, actually, I had one video that went viral, and they was going to give me actually a couple of pennies on the dollar of how many people watched it.
Unfair.
So, but you have to have a steady content. You have to be a content creator regularly to actually see money.
It's not how the world works.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I felt too. That's why
This conversation right here may entertain some people, may not entertain the others. It's not how the world works. So therefore, the so-called commission off of your content, it has to come down to individual viewership, individual pieces of information that you put out.
And sorry, that's through advertisers that are advertising on the website.
Yes.
If there's more traffic, so say I noticed, I'll explain it this way. I noticed that when I went on to opinion.com, and that's OPENIUN.com, that there was different categories. There's sports, entertainment, food, you name it, different categories, right? And so say I post an article about sports, right? And then Rob, he loves to cook, and he's chefing it up, and he posts an article about this delicious salmon dish that he's creating and how he goes about his approach to cooking.
Yeah.
And say my article is poorly written and I get like 10 views a month, but Rob, he's getting like over 1,000 views every month, right? So obviously he can demand more money because there's more traffic coming to his website.
Of course, yeah.
But Rob is not getting paid.
But now with opinion.com, you are getting paid.
Yeah.
Right?
I was just interjecting.
Got you.
Okay.
And so the other thing I noticed, well, actually, I'll pause there and just make sure I'm tracking.
No, you're
if you
tracking
have any.
perfectly fine. In fact, you get paid for what you bring in.
Sure.
And you don't have to put in the effort to bring in that person. That's where the platform, the website, the faster loading speeds and all of that tries to meet you halfway. It's like, hey, we're trying to get your content out.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
But the whole idea is that do you get frustrated with the platforms out there to a point where you're like, wait a second, they're monetizing my content.
Yeah.
I'm not getting a cent.
Yes.
A cent.
Yes.
So okay. This is really good because how are you putting their content out there? Because I guess Rob and I were talking before the show, and he was asking the question, how do you bring traffic to the website? But it sounds like you're saying that you're not necessarily bringing traffic to opinion.com. You're taking the articles from opinion.com and pushing it out onto the web.
World, yes.
So that when people search oh, I'm trying to make amazing salmon dish.
Yep.
They're gonna come up on Rob's article.
Yes.
And it's gonna then bring them to the website.
Yes.
Now,
and you're pushing that out to the
all right. So
it's crazy.
as I'm looking at, do I know it's coming from your website or it's just out there?
So I totally get what you're saying.
okay.
So it's a fair game, right? So if someone's looking up a recipe of spaghetti or ravioli
And it's on your.
and it's on my website,
Yeah.
the platforms out there such as Google, other search engines, it's a fair game. They're gonna push someone else's spaghetti recipe, see if that's the one that people are looking for, or are they looking for Rob's? They do their algorithm stuff, right? Fair game, no competition there whatsoever.
Yeah.
But if the content that you're producing is what people want to see, that platform will make sure that that's the content that's visible to the user. So this is,
And
Yeah.
and it would direct.
aim
towards you.
my website.
They would click on the article. Like when you search on Google,
now,
they would click on the article and bring them to
so
opinion.com.
now that it clicked on your article, they can only see your advertising underneath.
Exactly.
So then the income comes from
The
the actual. Oh wow!
Individuals come down
Yo,
to
how
the
much
art.
money you got, man? Yo, tell the truth.
We were getting
Are you a
recorded.
millionaire? Are you a millionaire? Yeah, close.
I'm mentally a millionaire.
Yo, bro, that's smart as hell. Do you know what he just said?
It's
do you
I
know what
know.
he just said?
I know what he just said.
there's
Is this in development or this is?
we're live.
Actually,
We've been live for a while.
Yeah, I was on last night.
long? Like actually,
4 years.
wow.
Yeah, and those were 4 passive years, right? Like
Yeah.
I realized, hey, if I'm going to fund a vision such as this big,
Yeah.
I'm competing
With the
the
major
like
company.
billion dollar
Yeah.
companies,
Yeah.
right?
Whoa.
So I have to fund this, and I have to fund this as long as it takes.
Your haircut just went up. You know that, right? I'm sorry.
For those of you that
I'm
don't
just-
know, Rob cuts both my hair and Qasim's hair.
Yep.
So
Your haircut.
Yeah.
Just to your
my
house to do it.
pricings remain the same.
Yeah.
But for Qasim,
Don't shoot the middleman.
His pricing has just doubled.
Yep.
So just,
Yep.
that's
No,
the
no worries.
background
I'll
there.
start charging for that crypto stuff now.
Ooh, there you go.
Hey, I am still a businessman.
I'm not a businessman. I'm a business.
So yeah, I just wanted to create something, and I'll be very honest. I love testing my theories.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, it's not about the money because I have a full-time job. I get paid either way.
Yeah.
So my first intention of starting these ideas and businesses and whatnot is to see if it works.
Yeah.
If it works, now figure out whatever it takes to grow it.
But you
Yeah.
can't. The way that you just explain it, you can't lose.
I thought that.
Wow.
And
What
I'll
do
tell
you
you
mean?
what happened.
What do you mean you
So
thought?
that's what I thought. I thought it was like, this is a bulletproof idea.
I think you just need. You know what? If you can sell. I don't know if you want to do this, but you can sell that idea to a major company. All you need is finance. To finance this. This is it. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Maybe $1 million, maybe half, maybe 500,000.
Yeah.
I guarantee you be on a billionaire level.
Yeah.
No, for real.
I believe that. I believe that fully, wholeheartedly. I never made it to the final episode, but I've gone down the Shark Tank route as well.
Yeah, I did. I did
Yeah.
Shark Tank.
Yeah. So it's like, I believe that.
But
Like,
what? They didn't see the vision.
No, I stopped myself because.
Oh, you're your worst enemy.
Yeah, I am. I am. Exactly.
Well, I think that's a strength. It's like inside of every strength is also the seeds of its own of your own destruction, or whatever that saying is. Like every strength is your weakness.
Yeah.
I think I butchered that quote, but you get what I'm trying to say.
No, I totally.
And it's like you're a critical thinker.
Yeah.
You have
Yes.
to test theories, but then that same critical thinking can hold you back.
Of course.
Because you can see the holes.
Yeah.
But I do want to hear like what you said, that there were. You thought it was bulletproof, but you found out that it wasn't. I want to hear that. I want to hear
love
this.
it, man. So just when you think there's nothing else to figure out, there's always something.
Yeah.
So we onboarded what we called our alpha users. Alpha is like just a term used for your first set of testers.
Yeah.
Brought in like 50 people. Everyone's like, let's go, let's pump some content, let's create this. and I kid you not, we were making money the next day. Like literally, not figuratively, literally the next day, money started coming in, advertisers, everything.
Wow.
Like, great, this is going to the moon, right? 30 days later, we get like a note from the advertiser. Hey, we noticed that the people that are writing the content are clicking on the ads. And so I'm like, why would they do that? Oh,
They want to make
they want to make more money. Greed.
Yeah.
right? So that's where I was like, wait a second, the tech is solid. What it's not future-proof to or bulletproof to is the human fallacies or whatever you want to call it, like our greed, our weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with the alpha users. I'm like, hey, can you not click on the ads? They'll take down the advertisement. The whole business just goes down. Like if we don't have advertisers, yeah, we'll stop. Didn't stop, right? Because guess what? Like you just want to make that one more dollar, just that one click.
Yeah.
And the technology is smart to know when you click on your own ads.
Yeah.
Like when you're clicking on your own content, they know that. Like it's just, it'll be a 2-hour long podcast if we get into the tech, but they know that. And I couldn't convince the users to not do that.
No, you can't. You cannot.
No.
You can't take the button off.
Especially when there's money coming in.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I can just get one more dollar.
Yeah.
If I just...
So I did what I thought was the only option. I said, okay, I will become the user, right? You tell me what you want to publish, to share with the world. I will publish it under my name. There's no money. There's nothing. Like everything stops right now. We're going to first see if the concept works. If I can take your content, publish it through my website, see if there's millions of users coming in. First, we just test that. And if we validate that, now we can talk about, okay, here's how much I made off of your article. Everything's there in the ledger.
Yeah.
Like, here's how much money I made. You want all of it? Take all of it. Because for me, validating the theory is most important. Wow. Now, if we can come up with the technology to replace the advertisement loopholes and whatnot, that's also there, right? So I was like, that's a different problem to solve. First, I want to solve for, can people remove this greed element and just create content like they normally do?
Yeah.
So you go from someone who's not making a cent on Facebook to someone who's clicking on their own ads nonstop on opinion.
Man.
And so
Human
that's where
nature.
we're at. We're at that stage where I'm partnering up with agencies that have content creators, and I'm saying, you come in, you publish whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever money you make, 90% is yours.
Wow.
I'll take 10.
Wow.
Because you're doing the work, you're doing the content creation, you're doing the research, what people care about, you're doing everything. And the fundamental, like the end goal is still to get it to a point where we can still take user-generated content, because that's the quantity, and then continue to push it out. But we're in this limbo right now where we're like, okay, we don't want to fall a victim into the greed that our content creators could have, but yet we want to validate the theory.
Yeah.
So we're there.
So that's where you at now.
That's where I'm at now. I'm working with an agency. They write most of the articles. I write some of the articles. I implore anyone who's interested to just get their word out in the world and help us validate this theory. And whatever money that we're making, we're super transparent. We can go down to which article made how much by the day.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your vision for this in the next, say, what do you want it to be in the next 10 years?
So this might be a good segue into Web3, because so I'll for anyone who's new to what Web3 means, this is my super simple explanation. So for any of the tech gurus out there, don't judge me for this.
Don't worry, I had to Google it after I had a conversation with Qasim. I had to go and Google what Web3 was. Educate myself.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Oh, you did?
No, he told me about it this morning.
I'll give you a beautiful explanation. So you have the first internet websites and everything that were built in the .com era, right? The Amazons of the world, the Googles of the world. Yeah. They're your average web one. They gave him one after the fact because that was just the web. Like World Wide Web, that's your average web one. Mm-hmm. Websites where you go to, you get information, that's that.
Yes, sir.
Right.
The Facebook era, right, which started the Twitters, the Facebook, the whatnot, the MySpace and all that, where you have users creating content and it's coming together for everyone, for almost everyone to see.
But all right, but as far as information,
yes,
that's where I'm not understanding.
Wait, hold on. He's not there yet.
Flow of information. He's
explaining. So phase one was www.the World Wide Web.
I
Phase
understand.
2 with social media,
Social
Facebook's,
media,
right?
yeah.
Now you're about to break it down to phase 3.
Yes.
So.
So
Okay.
we have phase 1, which was Web 1, where the companies control the information.
Mm-hmm.
Great question, by the way. Phase 2, which is Web 2, where people are pouring in the information and you
Right.
have to decide what is true, what is not. Now the companies started to come in and say, you can't say that on our platform, right? So
Yeah.
you
Facebook, Twitter,
name your
all that.
topic. You
Yeah.
name your topic. You can go from Black Lives Matter to the war in Gaza to anything. You name your
Right,
subject matter. There is, what's a word for this? There is just corporate clearance on like what information gets to be published.
Yep.
I have a problem with that,
Yeah.
right? If you're free to speak your mind, you should be free to speak your mind.
Right.
And because the platform is controlled by a single entity or a group of entities that have some sort of collective agenda, hey, if we promote hate speech, therefore people might not want to come to this platform, therefore we will not make money.
Advertisers and will not want to
Right.
become anymore.
There's a problem in that. Like
Right.
the platforms are naturally incentivized to build something that is controlled by them so that they can monetize it the best way.
Right.
Web3 is a concept where you get rewarded for the information that you're bringing in.
All right,
Yeah.
but if
Yeah.
but
And
I don't want to go too fast.
yeah.
Yeah. I just want to hear the rest of his
Okay,
Web3
Yeah, you get
Yeah,
explanation.
rewarded.
okay.
You get rewarded for the information you
Yeah.
bring. No one, not even the person that's building this technology can delete it. So imagine that I send you a text message on WhatsApp or just a message app. I can go in and delete it and say, I never said that.
Right.
Never happened. I can go back and erase information.
Yeah. Take down a Facebook post, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, or a
Now,
tweet.
information has become a victim to this ability to delete and edit. Where Web3 comes in is what you put out in the world, it stays there.
Is that good or bad?
No, beautiful.
It come
beautiful.
back and bite you. I said something 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Do I feel the same way today?
No, but you
No.
get to come out today and say, I regret saying that. I am
But
no longer of this.
Does it excuse it?
What?
Does it excuse it?
Of course, I would think so. If I'm a forgiving person, I'd be like, I am no longer the person I was 10 years ago,
But
right?
Some people don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they get a grudge, I have a grudge.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, once you said it, I'm looking at. Even I do that with celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
I watch some contents of celebrities, and they say something, and then they come back and apologize, and I still have animosity in my heart that I won't accept because I feel like they meant exactly what they said at the time.
I think it's fair to
Open.
hold people accountable.
Okay.
But I think one must treat others exactly the way they want to be treated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we know that I can say something off my head in a heated moment or whatever that is, but yet regret it and be 100% opposite in my belief of what I've said before, I must extend that same, what's the word I'm looking for?
Grace.
To the next person and say, well, you're also human,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? You can also say and regret what you said and go back. So I'm fine with transparency. One can argue how much transparency, right? I don't want the cameras in my house to be publicizing my life outside.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the cameras
I'm with
pointing
you.
outside of my house, they can be live streamed
yeah.
on YouTube. I don't care.
I love it.
Right.
I love that quote. That's good. That's
Right?
cool.
Yeah.
That's hot. That's
So
hot.
so Web
No,
3
it is.
No, I'm
Web3
with you.
was basically like, hey, let's incentivize the world
Yeah.
to share the information, whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
And people will determine if it's true or not. And we will rate it on a scale.
But
Yeah.
all right. See.
So wait. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
You're
I got a
you're
moral.
rating.
I
it.
got this. This is something that's is morally like. All right, what's true and what's not. Like you counteracting from you on the fence. You singing something morally and that's wrong. All right, and then you're doing an action or fact. Mm-hmm. Like it's a difference from a fact and moral standards.
I study theology because I just
Oh,
love that
am I
concept.
somewhere else?
No. You're exactly spot on.
Yeah.
What is reality? It is whatever you believe to be
Presumed
true.
it to be actual.
Right?
So is that a fact?
If
it's a fact, is that tree is green?
It's a fact for you because
morally, I could say, I don't like it. It's off green.
I love that Rob and I are wearing shades right now because I'll tell you,
I want yours.
that wall.
Yes.
To me,
Yes.
Darwin's not wearing shades. So Darwin, what
Just
color is
regular
that
glass.
wall?
It's a white wall, folks.
With your
It's a
shades on,
off-white, brownish.
because you're wearing shades.
Rob is wrong. Rob is wrong. It's a white wall.
You're wearing shades.
I've been
My
wrong all
shades,
night.
my shades are bluish tint.
Yeah.
So when I look at that wall, it's grayish bluish to
So
me.
are you saying it's from your heart, what you actually believe?
Our reality is what we see
Okay.
and what we believe
Okay.
to be true.
All right.
It may not necessarily mean that has to be someone else's reality.
I understand.
So we use this term in the theological world, absolute reality, with a capital A. It's like, hey, this is glasses off. It's not what glasses you're putting on. This is shades off. This
Yeah.
is raw.
Yeah.
And as people, we have to be self-critical to take off our lenses, right? To take off these shades from time to time.
Yeah.
To be unbiased, to be honest, to say, hey, this information that you presented out is wrong to me.
Yeah.
To me,
But
right?
that's
The
now,
to me is critical.
Yeah.
Piece
now
of that.
as you being the CEO of the company,
Mm-hmm.
would you change or you would
Well, CEO of which company? Sorry.
Opinions.
Yeah, opinion.
yeah,
Okay, I thought you were
opinion.
talking about Web3. I was like,
No,
he doesn't
opinion.
own the Web3
But it
concept.
actually comes
Yeah.
from his
Right.
company. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it all mangles together.
In fact, Web3 is owned by every individual.
exactly.
Yeah.
It
Because-
all
Oh no, I just want to make sure that the users were
entanglement, what
like
was it?
clear.
Entanglement, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call
Yeah.
it, mash, smurge,
You've been
merge.
watching that Will Smith interview,
Sync.
haven't you?
Yeah, sync. It all turns into. You know what I mean, because
It turns into-
No, I follow. I was just providing a clarification for the listeners.
It turns
yeah.
into too much information, but information isn't fact or not, right? Information is just information. I can say, dope hoodie, man.
Yeah.
That's a piece of information I'm giving you. Is it a fact?
It might be a ugly hoodie, to
Right?
someone else.
We must have that dialogue. And to
Uh-huh.
be able to have
Yeah.
an open dialogue,
Yeah.
open keyword, one must allow everything through the door.
Yeah,
You can't
I never
say,
looked at it that way.
Yeah, right. So everything,
biased.
but you, even in your statement, you would rather not be biased.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But
Consciously.
but you're honest.
Yeah.
Therefore, you'll say, I'm biased. Guess what? I'm biased too.
Yeah,
I'm
Consciously.
biased for Web3. I'll make arguments for why Web3 needs to succeed more than anything else. But
Yeah.
but I must have
Options,
to.
options.
Yeah.
options. You must have options.
Yes.
You see major companies like PPL, for instance.
Yes.
They have different companies that provide you different
Yes.
sources of electricity through their company. You
Yep.
cannot, like, I love Google. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. And I think Google is the greatest thing that ever happened. And
Yeah.
it's like the light bulb.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it must be a competition.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a different thought.
Yeah.
It has to be mind opening to a different way to look at things.
Yeah. Now imagine. Let's just take a
That's
website.
why I like it.
Let's take Lehigh Valley News as a website or Lehigh Valley Live, one of these platforms, right?
Yeah.
Imagine Google says, "Oh, we don't agree with that article that you just published, so we're going to take your site off Google." Just imagine if they do that. But they can't.
That's what he's doing on Twitter. That's what I,
Yeah.
But imagine
Wow.
if Google did it.
Yeah.
That would
That
be
light bulb.
Yeah,
that would be
major
insane.
change. But is that freedom of speech? Now you crossing.
I'll tell you what it is. So the term we use is called centralization. Power is
Yeah.
centralized
Yeah.
at the moment in
Yeah.
this analogy with Google,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And in order to make that power decentralized, to spread it out,
Yeah.
to give it to individuals who are creating these articles, that's the fundamentals of Web3.
Yeah.
yeah. Because right now, to be honest, and it might sound funny, Google is God.
Of course.
He is actually, we praying to God.
The
we should go
closest
to
thing-
church. There should be some churches called Google.
Hey, ChatGPT is taking over
No,
though.
no, yeah.
Yeah. No, digital gods, right?
I
Yeah.
promise you, anything you want to know, ask. It gives you its opinion of which way it should go, which way you should look at it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
And
100%
then
right. Have you used ChatGPT though?
Have no
Bro.
idea about it.
All right,
I'm
bro.
not that tech guy.
No, I know,
I'm in the
I know,
shop.
but
Like,
if
me
you-
and you conversating, that's where I know it from.
Darwin,
got
you know
you.
what it
I
is?
got you.
I've seen movies only. So when people pray to the god of fire, the god of rain,
Yeah,
it's winter now.
Yeah.
If we were adhering to that ideology, we would be praying to the god of fire. Like, hey, make it warm.
A god of
Right?
Google?
So when we need artificial intelligence,
Yes.
we're probably going to ChatGPT. We're like, yo, give me this information.
Right,
Do this
right.
math quick.
Wow.
Write me an essay for my homework.
Facts.
Right? And then you have the god of whatever, water. Right?
Yeah.
For example, Google, like, I just need information. I just need an article that tells
Right.
me what is a tax credit for next year.
Right.
Okay.
So
Right.
I'm going to
You just Google it real quick. Yeah.
Right? So these are digital gods that we've, to some extent, we don't like worship, but we go to them every day.
Become dependent on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
promise
So how do you make sure that power is not with one individual, the CEO of Google or the CEO of ChatGPT, is not with one corporation where you can have like 10, 50 people with the exact same ideology, like, hey, let's monetize the crap out of these users.
Yeah.
But rather decentralized, distributed, so that everyone, as collective as we can be, are deciding the fate of humanity. Right?
Wow.
Not just the 1% on top.
Yeah.
You mentioned something very interesting earlier on when you were explaining Web3, and you said that that an individual can put information out there, and then there's a chance for other people to view this information, and people can like upvote
Yes.
and downvote.
Yeah.
And so that's a very interesting concept to me, because we talked about what color that wall is over there, and the question of what is truth, or what is fact, absolute reality with a capital
Yeah.
A. And our world that we live in today, everything is, I don't want to get into some of the touchy subjects, but everything is what people feel that it is. And I find it very interesting that I can put out a piece of information, and the weight that information holds is not so much on, is it absolute truth or capital A, but how many people agree with me.
Yeah.
And then I can then come across Rob's piece of information that he put out there.
Yeah.
And then I see that there's 1 million upvotes, and then I'm swayed to like, oh, well, a lot of people agree with that
Yes.
that perspective.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's such an interesting social dynamic.
It is.
You know,
And
I'm not saying it's good or bad. I just find it
With
fascinating.
every piece of solution comes another set of challenges worth solving.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Hence everyone in the
Yeah.
tech space still has a job. So you say, hey, doesn't that just mean majority is authority? Doesn't that mean that if there's more population of one race in this country, that they decide this is the reality or this is what we all feel? No, if everyone has a collective agreement, or majority has a collective agreement, the minority will always lose. So therefore, and then there was another solution to this concept.
Yeah.
So hey, we need to give weight to individuals, right? So for example, just like a credit score, right? One can make the argument like, hey, if I've done everything right in this country and paid off my bills in time and so on, and I've got a good credit score, I should have more say on money matters than someone who has a terrible credit score.
Sure.
Right? Not absolute, what is the word? Overpowered that person's opinion.
Like-
that person's opinion still matters.
Yeah.
The question is, society needs to know this statement came from someone with a 780 credit score. That statement came from someone with a 500 credit score, 400, right?
Credibility.
Yeah.
Now, is that intelligence or is that economically
Information. It's just-
correct?
it's
Is-
just-
how are you weighing this from what?
So, okay, so that's the beautiful part.
Yeah.
The fine print of how these credit scores are determined, right? I'm using the credit score terminology,
Yeah,
but let's just say scores.
per se. I know.
Yeah, of how these scores are determined are laid out to the society to first accept. Say, hey, I say that every time Rob goes on a podcast and says something, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. So we'll do a 50-50 score. We'll give you 5 out of 10 so that it's neither full truth, it's neither false.
Of course.
But after every podcast, all the listeners get together and they give like a little upvote and downvote. It's like, hey, how factual was this information for you and whatnot? And what was
How
your
does it
reasoning?
affect you?
Yeah, and what was your reasoning for disagreeing with
Yeah.
it? And it calculates a new score and says, okay, based on everyone's unbiased pointing mechanism, and I'm using unbiased because there are ways to check that to a certain extent. It gives a new score and says, okay, that's for today. Let's do this 500 times and come up with a new average. And then let's test that average with the society again and say, does the society still agree with this average? Does it need to be higher or lower? So this concept of calculating these scores is what people call the source code. Meaning, how does Facebook, for example, like if someone's coming from Facebook's going to hate me.
What's this guy, man? You're going to get a letter.
Facebook's application, right?
Sister deceased letter.
Facebook's
coming
whole
towards this guy.
application, right? You know when you view some post and you see an ad below, and that ad was like something that you were talking about to someone like 5 days ago, and you're like, wow, the hell do they have an ad talking about the exact same thing I was talking about 3 days ago, for example, right?
Right.
That source code, the code that's handling the algorithms and calculating what ad you see and what content you see, it's not visible to you. You do not see it. You do not get to say, I like it, I don't like it, right? So that's called source code, meaning like what's actually programmed in the application to serve you. In Web3, the source code is open. Everyone in the world gets to see it, gets to criticize it, gets to change it. You get to come together and say, hey, this needs to be improved in such and such manner. And if you get enough majority, so you get to create a new version of it. And it's called forking, meaning if you and I disagree on how the platform should handle an algorithm to serve you ads versus serve me ads, we get to live. Rob says, okay, I'm forking here. I'm going into my application. Let's call it Facebook 2.0. Or Rob's Facebook.
So you fork, and now Rob gets to exist in this space over here,
exactly,
and control his own algorithm.
Yeah. And so people that agree with Rob will stay in that space. People that agree with me
will stay in another space.
But that's how this all works.
Web3.
Web3 works that
not
way.
in Web2, not in Web1. No.
Twitter, Facebook, we can't see the algorithm.
No.
We don't, like, if I ask you what's the algorithm
for Facebook,
for example, when you go on Google and you search, sneakers, right? You have on some polo sneakers right now. And then an hour later, you're on Facebook and an ad pops up on your,
I hate that.
And it's polo sneakers, right? Yeah. Like, if I ask you, well, what is that algorithm? Like, what is that calculation? What is that? Or like when you are scrolling past someone's post. This is probably a better example. You're scrolling past someone's post and you're scrolling past and you slow down.
Now they know what you like.
And then you don't stop. You just slow down.
Yeah.
But you slow down for maybe 3 seconds
this
or
is scary.
whatever it is, right?
Ain't this scary?
And then they're like, Rob seems to slow down when he passes by a post when someone's on vacation.
Now scary.
Now all of a sudden, right? They're looking at everyone's post that's in your timeline and not in your time. That's a friend of yours and not a friend of yours. And then they're going to start pushing you towards, pushing content towards you with other people. Well, let me finish. Other people who also are on vacation. And the whole goal is that they want you to stay on the platform longer. Yeah. Because the longer that you're on the platform,
that's why the more that they can.
The longer
TikTok does it the best.
The longer that you're on the platform is the more dollars they can demand from advertisers, right?
TikTok does it the best.
But my question is, if I say, hey, what's that algorithm? Show me that calculation.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know. That's a hidden algorithm, hidden calculation.
Yeah.
What he's trying to explain is that with Web3, that algorithm is open to all of us to see.
That you want
and then not only can we view it and see it, right?
We can change
but we can also change it. And if you want to make say that it's the three of us here, and I'm like, well, I want to make change A, and you guys are like, no, I want to make change B, and now change B is what's going to happen because it's majority vote. I can say I'm going to fork off from you guys. I'm going to do change A over here.
Yeah.
And then I can go and invite the lady over there and lady over there and say, hey guys, come over to if you like the way that I like, if you like change A over here, come over to my area. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Now let's get off of this. I want to talk about him. We talking about is that company? Are you getting paid from that company?
Ego a little bit. Which company? Opinion?
No.
Before I get off of
Web3, are you getting paid from
Web3? So Web3 is
Are you getting? Do you have any financial interest in Web3?
Of course, of course. I'm more than. I first was what we call an evangelist, like someone who's like wholeheartedly a believer of what this tech can do.
Yeah.
And as you spend time into it, you're like, wait, there are incentives built for me to grow within this space.
Yeah.
So I'm heavily invested in Web3.
Okay.
However,
financially.
Yes.
Okay.
And
That's through
mentally, like
your
whatever
company.
you say. Yeah.
Not
So,
personally, just
yeah.
through.
But I cannot make money off of any other individual. That's just impossible in
I understand the
Web3.
part.
So the only way I benefit is if we all collectively benefit. Otherwise, there's no winning.
All right.
And
So
that was actually, well, I don't know what you're gonna ask, but I was gonna ask like how, like if you could just explain and break down,
Yeah.
how can one monetize
I want to
Web3,
give you-
or how can you make money in Web3?
I want to give you
That
probably
was my
the
question.
most simplest example. Let's say that everyone has a cell phone now, right? Almost everyone. When you walk from this block to the next one, your phone's hitting towers, your cell data, your GPS is calculating what street you're walking into, what businesses you just walked past. The map can then send that information to these businesses. Hey, you want to run an ad to Rob because he just walked past your store? Bring him into that sneaker shop.
Right.
And they're like,
now,
yeah, I'll spend $1.
I had a piece that Google gave me
Yeah.
to put in my store. I don't think they do it anymore.
Okay.
Do you know about the piece? It was a piece.
I
that it
think
would
I know what
hit-
you're talking about. Yeah.
They would hit people's phone
Yeah.
when they passed the store.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Yeah. So that right,
Yeah.
like that right there is,
I think they made it illegal now.
they're still doing it one
They-
way or the other.
yeah.
They're still doing it one way or the other. And
Like
what
it came like in a box. It was a Google.
and what's happening is they're turning your activity
Yeah.
into money, and you don't get paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what if I said, "Hey, Rob, every time you walk past the store,
Yeah.
if that store collects your information, like you walked past sneaker shop,
Yeah.
Foot Locker, whatever you name it,
Yeah.
that you got a cent
Yeah.
every time because they're taking your data,
But then,
they're taking your information."
but you still going into
Just
everything
follow
is-
through with me this, right?
Okay.
You walk down the street, you just earn 5 cents. Why?
Yeah.
Because you gave data to a platform that says, I walked past these 5 stores.
I would love the world to go like that.
It is going like that.
You think?
Oh, I'm making money like that.
Oh,
When I
this
walk
guy's
down the
rich.
street, when I
tell you
walk
he's
down the
rich.
street, when I drive, when I sleep, I'm making money because of what Web3 is doing for us.
Wow.
And all I want,
We need to talk offline.
yeah,
We need to talk offline.
yeah, yeah. No, we really
You and
do.
I.
We really do.
Whoa, whoa. I can't come to that
You
conversation.
can come too. You can come too. You're invited, bro. You're invited.
Part
okay.
2.
I didn't mean to make you feel excluded. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
What-
I'm sorry,
come on.
man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
What
it.
do you want me to take it to the trash?
A head
All
start.
right, I'll wipe the windows down.
Rob has a head start. Rob's barbershop is already halfway into
Rob, I'm trying to be
Web3.
like you too, man. You've owned daycares, barbershops, radio
Yeah,
stations.
Like you said, I
Come
wish
on,
it
man.
was quicker to fail. What was the saying? Fail quicker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iterate faster. It precisely, man. So
Mm-hmm.
so we're now, this is the new era, the new age where you're being rewarded for what you were not being rewarded for the
Yeah.
last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Right? So it is happening. It's happening at its own pace. It takes time, great things do. And supporters, believers who believe in this world will continue to push it. And you have me just as an individual that's doing the exact same thing. In fact, I'm trying to build in the Web3 world. I'm experimenting with concepts and ideas that say, how do I pay someone for something that they weren't getting paid for before?
Now, did you enroll your family into this?
Some of them still think it's a scam. Some of them
Trust.
trust. Yeah. And I'm the messenger, man. I don't go past the point where if I tell you once, I mean it.
Yeah, then if
And
you-
it's on them.
Yeah, then
I told you once.
Yeah.
Today you got the app,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I've
Don't
told
look at
men-
me because my house is bigger.
No, and I've told everyone, and I've said, hey, here's the concept. Yeah, I'll pass. All right, man. You do you.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll
I did
talk
that
to you in
with-
5
I did
years.
that with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I took money and invested in homes instead of
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
There you go.
I was
There you
like, they was like, buy Bitcoins.
Man, one of my favorite sayings, right? No such thing as a right decision. You have to make the decision right.
Ha.
Right? Make a
Yeah.
decision,
Yeah.
work on it
Gosh.
until it becomes right.
Hey man, I need you, brother. I need you in my life, man.
Of course, no, likewise.
Don't
We,
leave me,
we,
man.
we all need each other, man. And I'm
Don't
kind of
leave.
glad that we had that conversation that we had while you had not a knife, but a razor to my throat. and it's so funny because Rob was like, we were talking about sensitive topics, and I was like, man, I can't be any more honest with you because you literally hold a knife to my neck. So that's figurative and literal at the same time. But yeah, no, of course.
So get into your family, get into your life. Who are you?
I'm just an average person, man. I've learned how to step far away from my ego.
Yeah. How do you do that?
Years and years of practice, self-criticism,
Your dad.
reflections.
Your dad, your son's still alive.
My dad's still alive.
Where's he at? Is he here? Or
He
went home?
he's a global trotter now, so he travels the world. That's what he wanted his life to be about. So he's
Your mom
same.
Still married?
Yeah, still married. They're together. They like to travel together, go to places. Yeah, no, this was the dream that they worked towards. They said we're going to raise a happy family. Got siblings.
Yeah, sister, brother.
I've got 4 sisters.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you're the only boy.
I'm the only boy.
Wow.
So there's a little bit
Oldest,
of pressure.
middle, baby.
I was somewhere in the middle. Yeah, like closer to the end, but
All right.
not
They
the
love
last
you to
one.
death. The only brother.
The sisters do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
They
only
really
brother.
do. Yeah. And no, there was just, we were definitely are still a loving family. And it was family first, all other matters after the fact. And my parents made sure that they prioritized the family. And when it got to a point where they had nothing else to worry about,
Yeah.
they're like, all right, we're going to do ourselves. We're going to go travel,
Yeah.
go
Check it
enjoy.
out.
And we're happy for them.
Okay.
In essence, this whole Web3 conversation started
Yes.
somewhere around I forgot when the Bitcoin came out. I should really know the answer to this. Maybe 2011.
Now, with the Web3 is Google.
These
and-
platforms are heavily fighting against it
Yeah.
because
Cease and desist.
so here's the beauty
They
of it.
find
In order for
something, the government needs to step in.
in order for Web3 to go to zero, like
Yeah.
just finish,
Yeah.
you have to take out every single individual
Wow. And that's
supporting it. That's the only way.
That's impossible.
So if someone said like, how do you take out the internet? You're like, well, you got to take out all the satellites and go in space and all that stuff and really make sure like all countries' satellites and stuff are out.
That is so smart.
It was built that way. It was built on 3
Did
principles.
he know that?
Well,
Did he know that?
what is is
Whoever-
Web3 still dependent on those same satellites?
It's dependent on what's called a node, and that's really what like a satellite is doing. And a concept of a node is it serves as a means to connect with another node. So therefore, if I take cash in my wallet, take out $1, give it to you, and you put it in your wallet, our wallets just became nodes. They became a host to this little asset that we're transferring.
Yeah.
So in the digital space, a node is a computer. It's a cell phone. It's a smartwatch. Anything that can run a small little script,
Interesting.
right, is a node. And in that node, you can program pieces of information that, the app that we downloaded that says, I can receive Bitcoin, that's a node on your phone. And now it will host or store Bitcoin on your node. So you have to take out every node for Web3 to cease to exist. And by I'm talking about every digital.
That would take forever.
Every digital.
Forever.
Impossible. Forget timelines.
Yeah.
You cannot even locate these nodes. You don't know where Rob's phone is 5 years from now.
Okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
Decentralization. So
Decentralized.
So you mentioned when I gave you a call, and for the listeners, I actually just met Qasim today, really.
First in-person meeting.
In person.
Yeah.
But first conversation was 2 days ago.
Yes.
And over the phone, you mentioned that you wanted to kind of spread education about this. And you were working with different, I guess, governments, municipalities to try to
make it happen.
Get funding, get support to be able to push some, I guess, partner with them and putting out some education about this. And so I wanted to just dive into that a little bit as far as why you feel like the education piece of this is so important and what you hope to accomplish there.
I think if we did a quick survey on the street and just asked 10 strangers that walk past, hey, what do you think of crypto? I bet 7 of them will say scam. 3 of them will say, I've heard people make money off of it. No one's going to say it replaces money.
I'm
right?
one.
Yeah.
I'm one.
Yeah.
So
Which is why I said strangers.
yeah.
You've been educated, right?
Yeah.
So, and that is my point right there. Education equips people to make informed decisions.
Yeah.
I do not want everyone to make the decision I want them to make. That's being biased.
Yeah.
I just want them to have the education so that they can say,
Weigh
hey,
it.
I have the information to make the decision I want.
Touche.
Yeah. That's where I'm
Touche.
at. And I believe that governments were created for a reason, and one of their primary reasons is to govern and provide people what they're paying their taxes for, right?
But government is you have to have that.
Yeah.
Like people can say you don't want police, you don't want no authority. This is something that has to be.
Yeah, and I look, perhaps it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So I want to look at the side of the
Exactly.
sword where it serves the people rather
Absolutely.
than hurts the people. So
Wrong or right.
yeah, right. So I want to go in and say, hey, I think it's your responsibility to educate the people that you govern.
Yeah.
And
But you still got to remember,
yeah,
the government, the Constitution, they still rewriting. Like
Yeah.
the Constitution, I mean, the government is, they, like us, they growing. We
course.
elevating.
Of course.
We evolving.
Yeah.
Well, like, so.
yeah, no,
they-
definitely.
They pretend that they know the answer.
Yeah, there are a
They
lot
don't
of
know the correct answer. They don't. They
Yeah.
don't. They develop. They. You know what I mean? It looks
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But
And history
Yeah.
proves
They learning.
that. History shows that time and time over again that, hey, this government, this organization blocked crypto or blocked Web3.
Yeah,
And then
they
3
learn.
years later, they're like, whoops, never mind. This is the thing that's going to save our country. Come on in.
Yeah.
So they're humans,
They learn it.
right? If we were being governed by bots and machines, that's a different conversation, but we're being governed by other humans.
They're
Exactly.
humans just
So
like us,
we
yeah.
got to extend that
Exactly.
same grace
the same grace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
to them.
And then also make sure that there's checks and balances, obviously, because I think that's the whole idea of Web3 is the decentralization is not so much like overthrow, all power. It's more about, hey, there has to be checks and balances.
Yes.
You can't have all of the power and all of the
Yes.
control
Yeah.
in the hands of a few people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
That's it. It was like
Yeah, I believe that.
Kanye that said it. No one man should have all that power.
No
and
one man should have
all that power. Eh.
that's like you said, it's double-edged sword. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to learn too fast. Now you did all right. And when I say that, you want to go through experience. You want to
Yes.
feel different feelings in life. If we born and the computer's running our life, we're one way. We never get a chance.
Yes.
To go through emotions. That's the best thing in life.
Yeah.
Hurt emotions, happy, laugh, cry,
Experiences.
Yeah.
experiences.
To put it simply, you
So
can.
I do think it's good to still have humans
Yes.
governing humans.
Oh, 100%. You need empathy to govern.
Exactly.
Right? And you don't want to be governed by something that can't empathize with you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why we're seeing a much more diverse government now.
Exactly.
Right? They're like, hey, you need to have empathy for your
Yeah.
for this race and that race and so on.
Yeah.
If you agree or not from
Right.
different decisions.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I just want to make sure, look, I get almost nothing out of this. That's the crazy part. So it's just like, I'm a believer. I get excitement. So I shouldn't say nothing. I get excitement like when I see
Yeah.
a better future in my worldview. And I want to make sure that, hey, if I possess that knowledge or that skill to make this happen, I'm putting myself in front of the people that can help me meet halfway.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't want, I'm specifically trying to think about this and execute this in a way where we can make it happen, where greed and those things, those lessons learned from my opinion experience are accounted for.
Yeah.
Is this
absolutely.
is this I don't know if even this question is right.
Go for it.
Is this coming from religion or is this coming from finance? Where is this coming from?
I do think, so one must define what religion is. And for me, religion means your worldview,
Yeah.
right?
So this is
the
coming
values that you believe in. So for me, the values that I believe in are freedom,
from, yeah.
right?
So it's
free
not, it's
will.
not one specific.
It's not one specific. And many religions preach the exact same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I say, okay, what is a value that I'm adhering
Okay.
to? And if you say, oh, that's a shared value between Islam, between Christianity, between Judaism, great.
Yeah. Right.
If whatever label you want to put on it, you can say Google, Microsoft, Facebook, whatever.
No, I didn't ask
Yeah.
for to like maybe I said it wrong?
No. I heard you loud and clear.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
what's fueling this
Yeah.
drive?
Yeah.
And
for you
for me,
individually.
yeah, because look, it carries into my worldview. And if I'm not living my life as per my worldview, I'm wasting my time. I wouldn't be here
You're not
talking
living.
to,
It's like
You're not
hypocritical.
Yeah.
It's like,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Right.
like, hey, my worldview is you exist, you have the knowledge that you have, you share, you learn, and you grow.
Yeah.
And as long as that continues, I can guarantee there's improvement guaranteed in that process. My opinion platform, the tagline is thoughts worth sharing,
I love that.
right? Literally,
On the
it's just like,
Contagious
hey,
Thoughts podcast.
yeah, like hey, if you think this is worth sharing, share it,
Yeah. I love that.
right? And worth in this case is not monetary; it's the value. It's like, hey, can this information benefit someone?
If any listeners out there want to partner with the Contagious Thoughts podcast to put some content out on opinion.com, just send me an email or DM me and we'll talk.
Definitely. No, I'm like I said, I don't think we started the podcast when I was saying this. I am 10 to 20% planning, 80 to 90% execution.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if I think it and I want it, I make it happen.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. And sometimes the definition of whatever continues to be defined. You're like, oh, it's going to take this much time from your family life.
Right.
You're like, I don't want it that bad.
Yeah.
Right? So you get to make a conscious decision as you learn more.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't finish all the businesses that I start. Because I'm like, hey, I really think this is a good idea.
But I found that when I have done that and I do it, I've found it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
It can be overwhelming.
And it changes, right? When
Yeah.
you start something, you're like, I'm taking on, which is worth taking on.
Yeah.
You embark on that journey, you go halfway and you're like, this task is way bigger than I thought I want,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
then and your definition changes. You're like, I don't want it that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F. And in that book, the whole book summarizes in one beautiful line. What are you willing to suffer for? If you want something bad enough and you're willing to suffer XYZ amount,
Yeah.
then you deserve it. Go for it. And sometimes I ask myself, we mentioned, we have a baby
Keywords
on
for
the way.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Keywords.
Right?
Yeah.
So I've got a baby on the way. I have this vision that I'm trying to execute. Am I willing to suffer my relationship with my child, with my wife for that? No.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, no amount of money, no amount of vision is worth that personal sacrifice for me.
Yeah.
For some, there it is. For some, you'll see trillionaires, billionaires, divorced with 3 wives, 50 kids, but they're building the future for humanity. For them, it's worth the pain. It's worth suffering that family, relationships, because they're like, that vision is that much important to them.
I'm a little older. My kids are grown. Sometimes I wish I would have suffered time.
You live and you learn, man. You live and you learn.
Yeah,
I should have gave them less time.
Because then at that point, though, because here's the thing. At that point, though, I think that the people that I hear say differently, though, are the people who actually are there. And they made all the sacrifices. They made all the money.
Yeah.
Spoiled.
When I say made the sacrifices, I mean they sacrificed their marriage, their kids. And they look back and they're like, you know what? I just wish that I would have given them more time. I wish I would have given them more love, more attention.
I
And
do.
here's the thing, like when someone is like, I like to sometimes look at like these like surveys or polls of like people in their last days, like on their deathbed. And it's very rare that you find someone say like, I wish I would have worked more. People are always like, man, I wish I would have like had this experience or like spent more time like with these people. Like human beings, one of the most, this may sound like a tangent, but I promise you it's related. One of the most cruel punishments in prison is solitary confinement, because human beings we're meant to be with other human beings. Obviously there's outliers, there's the exceptions, but generally speaking, human beings are meant to be with other people. So if we're only chasing money in life and by chasing this money, achievement, success, whatever, power, we're missing out on this key element of humanity, of being a human. most people tend to regret that later on. Obviously, there's exceptions and outliers, but most people tend to regret that.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of going on a little bit of a tangent here.
No, it goes.
But it's pretty like
no. I'm not saying. I'm just.
it's interesting, right? Like
I'm taking it in. When you say, breathe in,
And you gotta hold
it.
Yeah.
Hold it.
Like it went
forgot
in.
the
When
hold
you
second
said
time
it went
around.
in. That's why I was looking like that. It just,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
I breathed it in. I didn't exhale it.
You're holding it right now. You're holding it. I got you. Yeah.
these conversations are rooted in the principles of what you believe you're
Yeah.
taking with you.
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing that's certain, well, there's two things: death and delays on the MTA, right?
Shots been fired.
Shots been fired.
Shots been fired.
Never on time. I guess I can say that for death too. But yeah, so if there's one thing that's certain, it's death, right? So therefore, everyone knows that that's their, well, depending on what you believe, it's their worldly end. So therefore, every action, every interaction that we do in this world, one must question, is it worth spending that time, or
Yeah.
do I spend that time elsewhere because I have limited time, right? And I think if anyone can answer that question for themselves, they'll live a much more contentful life. And I ask myself this question a lot, like that deathbed analogy, right? That if I was on my deathbed right now and I wish that I had 5 more minutes,
Yeah.
where in my life would I regret spending those 5 minutes that I already did? So if I spent
Yeah.
5 minutes arguing with some stranger over a parking lot, like that wasn't worth it.
How old
Yeah.
are you?
32.
Wow.
I'm 31.
Wow. Very, very, very. Ooh.
Yeah.
Bro,
Wisdom.
it's
Yeah,
you know,
brother.
I think a lot.
I want to meet your dad. That's what I need.
Yeah. Facts.
Where's he at?
Facts.
Can I call him?
Where is he right now? He's in Pakistan these
Oh,
days.
I can't go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Can-
family,
Can I get an hour with him?
of course.
Tell him
Yeah.
you got a guy you know. Just-
No, I would.
I wanted. Jeez.
Yeah.
I want to deal with him. I want to talk to him. Just
No,
give me a-
yeah, dude. I spend a lot of time picking people's brains, and I pick my dad's, I pick my mom's, my
Oh, I
siblings,
need- I need
everyone.
to talk to him.
I'm picking your brains right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we're doing the same thing. Like we're all learning
Yeah.
off of each other, whether we intended to or not. But we pick pieces of information.
All right. Now,
Yeah.
I just want to ask something. So this is how me and him interacted, and we was talking about, I don't know, 911.
Yeah.
And this is how our conversation got into, and then I was asking him out of nowhere, like, how did it affect you? And he
Yeah.
accepted it. He didn't feel like I was being some type racist.
Yeah, I wasn't
And
gonna.
It was a very good conversation, and I want to get into that. I want to touch.
I
Let the people
yeah, man.
We can
understand
definitely
from
we can definitely get into that.
Yeah.
how did that affect you or your family or your outlook?
So
I want to get into that.
Yeah.
Like
I'll
let
tell
the
you-
people get a better understanding.
Yeah.
Instead of having a wall up and you know what I mean.
I like to believe I'm a person with no guards up. So
Not you per se. I'm talking about
Yeah.
not understanding someone from Pakistan, not knowing.
Yeah.
Because we was going on racial.
Yeah.
Racism.
It's a
as
hot
far
topic,
as-
right? It's a hot topic. People
Yeah.
like to talk about it. People like to listen about it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer of I got to be myself. So I've been asked this question a few times here and there in my life. When I think about my reality with my shades on, my perspective, my
Yeah.
life, I have to be honest for that, right? I can always place someone else's victim card and be like, this happened to my friend, this happened to my sister. My reality, for the most part, was really smooth. And so I grew up believing that racism isn't inherent, it's something you adopt because of my reality.
Yes.
So what I mean by that is based on the information that you're feeding yourself or being fed to you, based on how you're responding to that information, how you're processing that information, you're adopting a certain ideology. That ideology in society might be called racist or it might not be called racist.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, we're all a victim to the information that we have available to us and how we process that. And I use the word victim, but I also want to use the word responsible. We're responsible for how we respond to the information that we're given,
Yeah.
We're responsible for where we go to seek information, right? But it's like a give and take kind of a situation. So my reality was literally when 9/11 happened, I remember being in school and there was like the cameras, the little TVs in the corner. I don't know if they still have those. They were showing the World Trade Center on fire, or the smoke was coming out, and like, hey, you have to go to school, national emergency. So we went back home, and then I don't remember when they opened the school after that. 3 days, 4 days after, I can't remember. I was a kid. So when they did open school, it was still back to school season, right? That's September-ish. So it was still back to school season. This is all I remember. I was in the class and they were like, hey, everyone go around the room, introduce yourself. I was born in America, but I didn't know better. So I introduced myself as a Pakistani. So I'm like, hey guys, my name is Qasim. I'm from Pakistan. And this girl, right, like just literally where Rob's sitting right now, this Asian girl just drops off her chair, right? Like I wish I could act, but I'd be getting further away from the microphone. Just drops out of her chair out of just pure fear. And I was a kid, so I had no idea what that meant, what that action meant. I just saw it, and I was like,
Wait, now did the class laugh?
No, there was a
Moment of silence?
no, there was a, what do you call that? Like a,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like the moment I said, boom, the girl falls off. And I was like, I don't know. I really don't know if the was for me or for the girl falling off, whatever it was. It was it was a little bit of a
Trying to get
reaction. Yeah. And that was the first time and almost the only time I ever questioned my race, because I refused to believe that racism is inherited in society.
Now,
Yeah.
in your outlook, is your racism is of action?
You mean his like definition of racism?
No, people view him as his racism is different from
Yeah.
what you would say our racism is.
Yeah. No, we talked
Our
about
Said
it.
his racism. What do you mean? I just want to make sure I
People
follow.
precede him not because of his skin color. They precede him.
You're saying
they
how
racist
he
against him.
experiences racism. You mean?
No, they see him as a racism with action of the action that occurred. That's his racism.
Let me know if I'm articulating this right.
No, right?
Let me know
No?
if I'm articulating it right.
Yeah.
What you're saying is, if I ever experience racism, is that racism more contingent on the actions that I'm doing?
The actions that occurred.
Or the actions that have occurred
That
within
occurred.
that race? Yeah.
That occurred in that race.
Yeah.
Compared to the actions of...
Or just like something as superficial or visual as a
Yeah.
skin color.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or apparel, right? Like, so if I'm wearing a turban on my head, that even if
Yeah,
I don't
explain
do
that
an
part.
action,
Explain
people
that
will look at it and be like, "Oh, that's a turban." So they're associating
Yeah.
certain actions to that apparel or to that.
Now, if you came in here with a suit on,
Yeah.
would someone know that you... If you
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
tell
no,
them it was
all sorts of
Pakistani? So,
which is I think like it's a flaw in society. I don't want to say never. I stopped interviewing while wearing suits. I refuse to. In fact, like if ever a company asks me to wear a suit in a meeting, I'm applying for a job and I'm out, because and it's not. I do hate suits, but I do hate suits, but it's more philosophical for me. So the idea is, you want me to change what I wear so you can perceive me differently. I'm the exact same man I am with or without that suit.
But I think with suits, people look at people
That's powerful,
different.
man.
It's different because I was reading something about the color of your suits
Yeah.
can change the outlook on
Yeah.
a situation.
Yeah.
Gray, blue,
Yeah.
black.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm up in the air with that.
I refuse to believe. Like, and here's that's why I'm using the word believe. I'm not saying
No,
the
I know
world
that.
doesn't have
No,
that
no, no, no,
perspective.
no.
I don't have
Yes.
that perspective,
Yes,
and
yes,
therefore
yes,
I have to live my life.
The way-
So I don't care if you show up in a hoodie or a suit. I'm not judging you based off of what you wear.
But America
Right.
does.
Of course,
America.
most of the world does.
Yes.
But that's, to me, I don't know if this PG-13, stupid.
Yeah.
Right? It's pure stupid. And I don't care if I offend people with that, because that's my perspective.
Yeah.
Right? I'll respect your perspective as well, because every person has the right to have their own belief.
Facts.
But
yeah.
in the life that I've lived, I refuse to believe that things such as your clothing, my dad's going to hate this, because all my life, like they were like, you dress better, you're going for an interview, we're meeting people, dress better. I literally prefer to show up at weddings like this.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, brother, you can't come to my wedding like that.
I have gone to
Whoa,
weddings.
man.
I kid you not.
Hey, man, come on, man.
2-3 months ago, I went to a
Right.
wedding wearing this exact,
Oh, come on, man.
whatever this
Oh,
is.
you're the best
It's
man.
very
You're gonna
nice.
come like that.
yeah, because I was like, hey, I'm not gonna wear a suit, but
It's
this
like
this
a
this
hoodie
passes.
slash like
Yeah.
half hoodie, but instead of a hood, it's like a turtleneck type
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
It's like a
Got a little
swaggy
Steve
type
Jobs
of, like-
situation going on here.
Yeah.
So you're gonna come to my wedding. You might be like one of my best men. You mean to tell me you're not
Bro,
gonna wear a suit?
you have to tell me
Yeah.
that would you be happy if I was happy?
I was happy you there.
Right? Doesn't matter how I show up.
Don't
You got
be in trouble.
I don't get invited to much weddings.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Funerals.
And none of the funeral.
What if you're
yeah.
in the wedding party and the person
that's
just
what I'm
want a
saying.
uniform?
That
I'm
happened.
playing devil's advocate.
That happened.
That's where I was going with this.
and I bought a suit for my cousin's husband, right? Because he didn't know better. He didn't know better. So he said, dude, like literally just a nice suit, right? Just like for the picture. And I'm like,
and you were in the wedding party.
I was in the wedding party.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'll do it for you because you're new. You don't know who I am. I'm the type of person, there's no ego in this statement. I'm the type of person that will do me.
Yeah.
And if that means I'll show up at your wedding without a suit and not be in the picture, that's fine by me.
Okay.
Right? That's fine by me. I don't
Yeah.
get offended. I understand awkward conversations to have, like, hey, can we like make him stand on the side? That's fine. I'm not there for the picture.
Yeah.
I'm there because you invited me, not me in a suit. So,
Yeah.
so where I'm going with this is the same outlook that I have towards suits carries into skin tones, skin colors, carries into your ethnicity, your region where you're born in. Because
Yeah.
if you think about it, just for a split second, boundaries that are around countries, right? Let's say the wall of the boundary between U.S. and Mexico or U.S. and Canada, that was man-made, right?
This
We
is
drew
fact.
a line and we said, hey, if you're born 5 feet of this side of this boundary, you're Mexican,
You have a completely different experience
right?
in life.
Yeah, that's the topic of what me and him was speaking about.
Look at what
Like,
the U.S.
is it-
did in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's racism in his perspective. It's
Imagine-
different from a racism of a black person. It's
Oh, of course.
it's
Of course, yeah, because
it's more of your action and then your physical form.
yeah. No, it's
So you
Peop-
understand?
yeah.
You might have one leg. I don't like people with one leg compared to a guy. Your hair is curly. You black.
Yeah.
You green.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's a totally.
it's
It's considered racism.
I'll tell you what. I just remembered a funny story, and
That's the line is shaky. Is it considered racism? Could you be racist from an action? That's my question.
I think by
From an
definition.
action that occurred that you had nothing to do with, absolutely nothing to do with.
most of us, if you think about it, most of us now fall into that category. Most
Yeah,
of us,
of course.
And by us, I don't mean brown skinned people. I mean everyone, right? Whether you're a white lady that's at a Starbucks that's screaming at the cashier, and everyone's like, "Are you the next Karen?"
Yeah, yeah,
Everyone falls into that because you're screaming at someone doesn't make you a Karen.
yeah.
They might have gotten your order wrong and you waited 30 minutes.
But
you
this
have the
is-
right to be
And
upset.
you're pissed, yeah.
But this is what's being pumped to divide America.
Yeah, which is again, we judge too soon.
Yeah.
Right? We don't look at the next person through the exact same lens. You and I are wearing different shades.
Yeah,
We just have to, and this is if there's one thing to take away from this conversation, is take your shades off. Right? Like learn how to look at things without the biasness, without the perspectives that we've inherited or adopted. Whenever you're having a conversation, whenever you're in a moment with another person or without, take your shades off. Like put your perspective, put your biases aside and look at that thing for what it is.
Yeah.
As much as you can try.
Patience.
Yeah, because if you're too quick to judge, if you're too quick to make your decision and you're not practicing patience, you're going to judge it wrong, most likely. But if you're patient about how I'm going to process this piece of information, right? You can say, I'm going to make a different decision today. So I do this every time I park my car. Every time I park my car, where am I? what do I have in my car? It's a $2,000 laptop. Can that get stolen? Doesn't matter if I'm in a particular racial neighborhood. I'm just looking at my region and I'm like, hey, can it get stolen?
Right.
Whether it's white people, non-white people, you name it.
Hey,
right?
I grew up in the suburbs. And
yeah. So I'm doing that math, and I can be too quick to judge and say, you know what, this parking lot looks run down. I don't feel safe with my laptop here. I'm either going to go park somewhere else, or I'm going to take my laptop with me. We're making these little minor decisions and calculations on the daily. We do it when we're walking down a street and someone's coming across and you haven't even seen their face. You just see that hoodie on and you're like, I haven't even seen their face. I haven't figured out what race they're in. But you're doing a minor calculation in your head, like, do I walk on the same side of the street or do I take a precaution? But in order to even make that decision, you're thinking to yourself of every biasness that you've had. You've seen all the movies. You're like, someone like shanks you in the middle of a road because you've seen all the movies.
Yeah. Or had experiences.
Yeah. So therefore, we're being, call it racist, call it judgmental. We're doing that at a very minor level. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
No, that's what I mean. Like, just we're doing it at a minor level, and we need to check ourselves.
So we're not. So to be in your behalf, saying that you are being more, they are being more biased to you compared to. So it's not racism when it comes to.
I think everyone's biased in some shape or form. But we have to really try to not be biased, and that effort takes effort.
So, but is bias a form of racism?
Bias is a form of quick decision making.
Yeah, maybe racism is a form of bias.
But the other way around.
Other way around.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah.
No,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, like a form of bias, but
that should be in a definition.
But it's not only bias though, because I think with racism, I think that it has to have some connection to race, ethnicity.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like if it's like if I'm like if people who wear yellow hoodies. I treat
my hoodie, man.
I love that hoodie.
These people got problems with my hoodie, man.
I love that hoodie.
If anyone that has a yellow hoodie, I just treat like crap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not racism, right? Because it had nothing to do with their race. It's about the hoodie. Yeah. But I have a prejudice, or I have a bias. People that dress in yellow hoodies, but
that's
we all have bias.
But you can't go. You can't go one way. It's like peanut butter jelly. I put the jelly on first. Then the peanut butter.
No, but like
I put the peanut butter on and then the jelly.
It's how is it? So if you look at my phone is recording.
Either way, you're getting a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Yes.
So my phone is recording, so I can't Google like the definition of racism.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it has to correlate directly to race or ethnicity. It can't be like if I'm treating people who have like a certain disability differently.
Yeah.
That's not really racism.
Yeah. Okay.
But it is a prejudice though.
Yeah.
It's prejudice.
Well, we're not really here
if we're gonna split hairs
for racial conversation. I just wanted to go over.
Hey, bro, you know we are though, because you asked the question.
No. I just wanted to give the people
it's
more insight of how. Because you ever seen an interview and it's like, how he know this guy? Wonder how they interact. The story of why they interact, why they took a liking to each other.
No, I think it was a good question.
No, I'll tell you what. Like, this is a good segue for the conversation that you have to define things for yourself.
Yeah.
Don't take other people's definitions or societal definitions of things and say that's what it is for me too, right? Yeah. So like that's why it's so hard for me to speak on experiencing racism, because I refuse to take the societal definition that, hey, just because I don't get a job promotion in 5 years, that I have to assume that that's racism. Maybe it's my performance, right? Maybe it's other reasons. I'm not going to be blind to the fact that there is no such thing as racism, right? I'll be open to that possibility, but that shouldn't be my first thought.
Sure.
And I think we continue to divide ourselves the moment that continues to be our thought, right? Like, hey, who am I sharing my food with? I don't know. Like, it's so hard for me to speak on that topic because I really don't think about those things. I refuse to believe that the color of our skin, the geographical location of where I was born in, needs to define my thought on the other person.
Sure.
You're looking at it. Yeah. All right. A crayon box. You still have to have different colors.
Crayon?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I think what you're trying to say is that like if you have I'll give an example.
It's only one color. We all in here with blue shirts.
I'll give an example.
Double-edged sword, right?
I'll give an example
Yeah.
that I think may address like what you're saying. If you have a company, right, because the point that I do 100% agree with is that the color of our skin, our ethnicities, does not have to define our.
Of course.
We don't have to allow that to control our realities.
Yeah.
Like we can. There's some things that happen to us that are out of our control,
and
but we can take control of aspects of our reality. I'm definitely with you on that. The example that I wanted to give though, real quick, is say there's a company of 300 people,
right?
And there's, for the simplicity of this example, I'm just going to give 3 groups of people.
Okay.
We all know that there's many more groups of people, right? There's 100 white males.
Yeah.
And there's 100 white females.
Yeah.
And then there's 100 black males.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And say we've pulled reports year after year.
Yeah.
And the 100 white males get promoted.
Yeah.
And pay increases every year. I'm just going to make up some numbers here.
Yeah.
At a 50% rate.
Yeah.
The 100 white females also get promoted at maybe a
40%.
Yeah, I'll say 40, a 40% rate.
Yeah.
And then say the black males in the company, it's less. Say 20%, whatever.
Okay.
And so, but say the people in this company, the managers, all that, there is no conversation that happens between them that says, "Hey, we're not gonna, we're not gonna promote these folks as much as." There's no conversation that happens.
Okay.
Say that there's just some implicit biases, as people call them, right?
Okay.
That's impacting certain decisions.
Yeah.
What do you define that as, or how do you?
First thing, you have to define that as a problem, right?
Sure.
Then you categorize a problem as, is this a racial problem?
Sure.
Which is, statistically speaking, that points towards like, hey, the only people that got a 20% raise happen to be all in one race.
This happens all the time, though.
Oh yeah. So I do want to make one point very clear.
And let's just say that, like, say all their performance was all. There's so many factors. We're obviously oversimplifying.
We're saying
we're oversimplifying.
Yeah,
say all their
everyone's
performance
the same.
is
exactly
the same.
Yeah, no, exactly the
Not
same.
realistic,
Of
but
course,
you know what I mean?
because that's how you debunk problems, right? You
There
gotta
you go.
assume the A/B test has to be one little different point in order for one to determine that something's off.
All right. So that could be used in advantage. That those situations. That is one of a situation I have went through, and that molded me to be an entrepreneur. From not being able to elevate in my craft. You know what I mean? Elevate in the company that I was with.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
I do want to say,
you can use it as
I do want to say one thing, because especially in this world of internet, things can be taken out of context.
Please, man.
When I say I refuse to believe,
that
means that's the world I want to live in.
Right.
I'm not saying that's the world I live in.
You're not ignoring the reality. You're saying,
it is 100%.
You're saying I refuse to accept this as the way the world should be.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and I love that.
But statistically, we have so much proof that is the way the world is.
That's actually why I asked the question. I gave that example because I wanted to clarify your comment.
Exactly. No, thank you.
Yeah.
You brought me right to that point.
I could have just asked. I could have just asked a simple question, but whatever.
There's an individual in history that said this statement that I love, and you'll know the reason why I'm not going to name that individual, because he said, "Look at what is being said. Don't look at who is saying it." So give value to the statement, give value to what is being said, irrespective of who is defining that value. Because in order to truly question if something makes sense or not, and is this right or wrong, you should have to separate that statement from where it came from. Yeah. So if the CEO, the moment that people hear that term, like CEO, says, we must do XYZ. Now, all of a sudden, people are like, because it's the CEO, XYZ is the way to go.
Yeah.
What if you want to call BS on that XYZ and say, that doesn't make sense?
You're out of here.
Right?
Yeah.
But so in this world that we live in, you're out of here. You're literally, how dare you question authority and leadership?
I have such a problem with that.
Right?
Oh
so
my God.
so
What's that?
I have such a problem with.
With authority?
Let me answer your question, bro.
No, go ahead.
I love you though. I have such a problem with not being able to question. I'm a person that naturally questions, and it's really difficult for me to be in a situation or an environment, and I'm not going to give specifics.
Right.
Later on, I'll give more specifics
Question.
about what I'm getting at or why I'm being
ambiguous.
Ambiguous, but I have a really big problem with not being able to be a free thinker or independent thinker and question, and where it's like we're all human, and I think that there's authorities are in place for a reason. There has to be order and etc. Organization, but I think that there's something so valuable about the freedom of thought.
Yes.
So say we're at a company, the CEO is like, this is the direction that we're moving in. It's not that I expect the CEO to go in a different direction because I have a difference of opinion. It's his company. He's running it.
Yeah. Someone
Someone has to run the show. You can't have
everyone.
10,000 CEOs. Someone has to be the boss. Someone has to make the decision. But if I have a difference of opinion, I can choose to leave that company, or I can choose to voice my opinion to that CEO. The CEO could say, hey, I hear you. What you said, I see the value in what you're saying. I hear your perspective.
Yeah.
But hey, guess what? We're still moving in this direction.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because I would feel respected that he heard me out.
Yes.
But to say, hey, you have a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
And that's not accepted here.
Yeah.
And you get penalized for treated differently. I have an issue with that.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
Yeah. No, definitely. There's you have to be able to disagree and yet still execute if that's the way the structure is.
Right. Facts.
We do this in our society. I may disagree with how much taxes I want to pay, but I still pay them. Right? Like I would love to.
But you still get the chance to curse the government. You
Of
still
course.
get to curse
Of
the
course.
government out.
Because that makes me feel that I'm not silenced. Right? That makes me feel that I have a place to voice my concerns. And yeah, the companies are taking notes, and they're trying to build their culture like this, where they're saying, hey, even if you disagree, come on and say it.
Yeah.
But the main point being that how people respond to these statements, right? So you have a CEO making a statement and you have a non-CEO making a statement. But if the people give value just because it's the CEO saying something, that's where there's another problem.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want society to just blindly accept or give weight to just because who's saying that.
All right, so
because it could be something ridiculous.
As somebody being a CEO, they would feel like I built this company, so you can't tell me nothing different. That's first of all. That's the chip is going to be on their shoulder. If I made it this far to get to this level, how are you dare tell me to change my thoughts?
I've got a response for that. That means you have become a victim to your own historical success.
Well, yeah. That's why certain companies go out of business. Like
most companies do because of that reason.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. They refuse to believe any other form of reality because they've succeeded proving one reality. Yeah.
Polaroid.
Yeah.
Everything was going digital. They still wanted to stick to
No, exactly. And to
Radio Shack.
To bring it home for people that are not in this type of environment, we do this in our day-to-day, in our relationships. Right? I tell my wife this. I said, look, if I was right about something yesterday, do not look at me today as a righteous man. Do not do that. Because now you're judging me based off of how I was yesterday. So look at me today for what I am today, for what I'm doing today, and then form your assessment, your judgment, whatever that is. So, and we have to do that. Like I try to live this principle as much as possible, where if I'm meeting you today, I'm like, man, Darwin's a nice guy. Rob's a nice person. When I see you tomorrow, I'm not coming in with that prejudice. I wash it away. I'm like, yesterday was great. Boom, done. Today, I will reassess it. Right?
Be nice tomorrot. Right?
No, this is going to be my best friend.
Be nice.
Yeah, because that's how we do it, right? Because now minor correct adjustment. I might be your best friend for that day.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Because the day after, I
Tomorrow,
might be
bro.
your enemy.
Yeah,
So,
Hey, shut these mics down. I need
Right?
to talk to this guy some more, man.
right? So that's
a part
it.
two.
I've started living my life like that, and it served me well. It served me
Yeah.
really well.
I
No, that's
Sure.
really awesome, man.
I sure
And
enjoyed
with-
talking to you, man.
Yeah.
Likewise. It's been a
You know,
pleasure. Thank you so much
it's-
for
Yeah.
allowing me to
we
speak
gotta
more.
Do this again.
Yeah.
We got to do this again.
and with that, let's transition to the no regrets segment of the show.
Okay.
Come on, hey. It's my style. Hey.
So the no regrets segment of the show is where myself and the guests have the chance to listen to the entire episode and answer the following questions. Number 1, is there anything that you said that you regret saying, even if it's how you said something? And number 2, is there anything that you wish you said that you didn't say? And with that, let's dive in. So before we get to the no regrets segment of the show, just a couple of quick reminders. And if you want Rob to come back as co-host on another episode, just let us know and maybe he'll be back by popular demand. This is also your official invitation into the Contagious Collective group. This is a Patreon group that gives you access to behind the scenes footage, exclusive content, bloopers, questions that are asked on the podcast that just weren't appropriate to be released on the main platform. And you get access to a Discord community where you can ask questions to people who are either on the same journey as yourself or people who have been there and done that. I'm in there. Plenty of the other guests who've been, on the podcast are also on there. And other people who are just like you on the same journey, like we all are. So all this you get for $5, and then follow us on social media if you're not already doing so. This will give you updates about new releases, upcoming collabs, new merch drops, and even some discounts on merch and whatnot from time to time. So follow us on social media, and with that, let's dive into the no regrets segment of the show. Before we dive in, I'm gonna give a quick disclaimer. We're actually gonna do the no regrets live this time. So instead of listening to the whole show and then giving our response to those 2 questions, our last interview that I recorded was with Mav. I'm not sure when that's going to get released, but hopefully I'm not confusing you listeners. But I did it live, and I actually really liked it. And so give us your feedback if you like it live, if you like it where we get to listen to the episode and then go back and answer the questions. But today we're going to do it live. So not sure who wants to take the first stab at it,
Rob.
but we'll do the first question first, which is anything that you said that you regret saying.
Not today. I have to go over this. There's probably a few things I'll probably regret tomorrow.
I
promise you.
love what you just said there.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I was gonna say I have no regrets,
Yeah.
and what your statement just kind of educated me on is never be too sure.
Yeah. Tomorrow you might feel differently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
That's all I
Yeah.
can say. I mean, it was a great conversation. Love
Yeah,
it.
it really was.
Yeah.
I'll probably say for me, the only thing that I regret, maybe not regret saying, maybe regret doing, is I think I wish I had booked a different room so that, because we basically came into this room that we're recording in right now in the office space that I rent. And we got the room at 11 because there was someone in here before that. And then I had to spend like 30 to 45 minutes setting up everything, the cameras, the audio equipment, blah, 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 blah. And if I had reserved a different room, that could have already been set up. Now, the room that I wanted, there's only 3 conference rooms in this building that are available for rent. And the other 2 were booked, and today has just been packed in here. But there is a kind of makeshift podcast studio, and I didn't reserve that studio because you can't do it easily online. You have to like talk to them and go through this whole hassle. And then they also have their equipment in there. I've recorded on their equipment before, and I don't like their microphones. I like my microphones. So I didn't want to have to deal with like moving their equipment out the way. So anyways, I'm learning lessons, but I'd say that's probably my regret for today.
I think you should have interacted a little more. I think you're a little better than me and professional as far as questions.
So are you adding a segment of the show, and now you're telling me that I should have done better?
Because I think
this is not the question.
All right. Oh, okay. I understand.
So what you're saying is you don't think I interacted enough.
I think you're a better interviewer than me, very good. You interview me. You very, very good.
Okay.
We do this thing in tech companies.
Yeah.
What went well? What didn't go well?
Yeah.
How can we improve?
Yeah.
So that's called a retro, like a retrospective.
Yeah, I'm
and
familiar.
it helps become so much more familiar with like, okay, well, this is what I did. Props, pat on
Yeah.
your back. And then here's what didn't go well. And then here's like what you can do to improve. The what you can do to improve part is so important because without that, it's just criticism.
Yeah.
But what you can do to improve is constructive criticism.
I love
Now
that.
you have
Yeah.
a path to improve.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think he's a very good interviewer.
Yeah.
Very,
Thank you,
very
man.
good. This is what made
Thank
me
you.
be here today.
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you had a lot on your plate this
It's all-
morning.
it's all good, though.
So what went well, you handled it like a champ.
Yes, he
Thank
did.
you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.
What can go well, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know better. This is my first ever podcast with someone, so I'm in no position to give recommendations. But if I do,
I think this was amazing.
yeah, awesome.
This conversation was like,
I'm glad.
oh man, this conversation was crazy.
I'm glad.
There's like,
I
yeah,
do.
Did we touch a lot of subjects?
We did.
Did we need to touch more subjects?
I want to say like you know how you take
think-
you take someone.
I think you need a
You,
part
t-
two
you
to
take, you
this
take a
one.
girl on a date.
Yeah.
And it's like if she wants to go on a second date, you're hyped.
Yeah. No,
I want a
that's
second
same
date,
here.
man. Like
Same
this
here.
This was
beautiful.
like-
I
and
want
I
to
want to
share.
talk offline with Rob.
Yeah.
We're-
No,
with Rob.
definitely.
Last time I said I want to talk online.
Now,
I wanna-
I'm just going to
I
start
wanna talk
vacuuming
offline
anyway while
with-
y'all was here. I was going to
My
start
shoes.
vacuuming.
Can you shine the
Yeah,
just the
just
bottom
wipe the
part
window down
of
while
my
y'all was
shoe? If you
talking.
could just shine that up a little bit.
No,
Oh, don't pay
literally.
no attention to me.
My regret in this podcast so far has been not asking you both enough questions.
Ooh, I like.
Because
Ooh.
I'm a worm when it comes to like absorbing information.
Yes. Oof,
and
I like that.
And I felt like okay, I gave a lot of information,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's
But it
sometimes
was
like
about
no,
you.
and I respect that. That's why I did it this way. Otherwise,
like-
I'm the type of guy that cross questions
Yeah,
so
I'm
much.
cool with that. I like that.
No, so
'Cause-
there is a second date.
So,
then.
so part two.
Yeah, exactly.
Feel free to ask me. Like obviously,
Yeah.
I'm always gonna come prepared
Yeah.
with questions.
Yeah.
And like Rob and I will have our game
Yeah.
plan and whatnot. But I would love to
no,
hear
absolutely,
questions
because it's
in the
not
other
an
direction.
interview; it's a
It's a
conversation.
conversation, man.
Yeah.
We're exchanging thoughts.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I didn't
Well, I
name
felt a
this
little bit of that when
contagious
we-
interview.
Yeah.
We went in and out. I really wanted to touch business, and I wanted
Yeah.
people to know who he was.
No, thank
Yeah.
you
So
for
certain
giving me the
questions
opportunity.
I
I
asked
thought that was good.
so they have a better understanding. Because if you're watching somebody and they speaking and you don't feel for them, you just seeing an image. You can't connect.
You can't relate like that human
Cannot
connection.
connect.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not, and that's why I went into your personal.
Yeah, no, I'm glad
And,
that you did.
I mean-
I'm glad that you did.
Yeah, and so you kind of answered the second question
Mm-hmm.
that as far as anything that you wish that you had said that you didn't say, and you kind of answered that.
Yeah.
With, like you wish you would have asked some questions. So,
Really? Yeah, no.
Rob, anything that you wish that you would have said or would have done or whatever.
We just need more time.
So you wish that you had more time. That's fair. That's fair.
Because I was not done.
yeah.
I'm picking this guy's brains.
Oh no, I
This
know, man.
guy's-
We'll have
this
a part
guy's-
two.
He'll be
I have
like,
a part two.
yo, who is this guy? The feds? What?
I don't even know what
Important.
what the answer to my the second question. I think that as far as anything that I wish I said that I didn't say, I mean, we honestly got to everything that I had. There was this one section that I want to get into. There was a question I wanted to ask about what motivates people to do what they do. And it's a series that I did earlier this year that is unreleased on the podcast. And I wanted to ask you that question, but I'm going
Good
to
or
save
bad?
it. I'm going
You
to
talking
save
about-
it
you t- is this that question is aiming towards
just what drives people, what motivates people.
like the good part of
It-
them?
all
it's
motivation.
It's
The
an open.
spirit?
It's an open question. I didn't get to that section of the show. I'm gonna save that for part two, and I'm gonna
Start off with that one.
I'm gonna start with that maybe, or just make sure I include that in the interview.
Definitely.
But I thought that the conversation was so rich.
Yeah.
On the other items that we touched on, that with the time that we had.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to say that for part two. Patience.
sure. For
Patience. But with that,
Learn
we'll
that.
catch you next time.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank
man.
you,
It was
man.
great having you.
Of course.
Great having you, man.